Princess Anastasia Part 2. In a kingdom described as the safest in the world, people lived happily and the days were jolly good. The nights in this kingdom were splendid and magical, and lately they had become star-studded and beautiful, appearing as if they were trying to convey a message to someone special connected to their land. One day Princess Anastasia, also affectionately called Anna, spoke with Michiko about a dream she had been having. She explained that the dream felt incredibly real and had been recurring every night for the past 2 months. Upon hearing this, Michiko's eyes widened and he took a deep breath, realizing that it was time for Anastasia to know a significant truth. Michiko began to explain that to the south of the Yellow Sea existed a kingdom known as the Tiara Land, which was once wonderfully inhabited by fairies in all their glory. This beautiful land was ruled by the fairy Queen Ursa, and under her benevolent leadership the kingdom was truly the happiest place on earth. However, the evil eyes of King Capto, the ruler of the barren lands, fell upon Tiara Land with his vast army. King Capto approached the kingdom with intentions of conquest. It was at this critical moment that Anastasia's father, King Reuben, came to the rescue of Tiara Land and successfully drove Capto's army away. Following this heroic act, Queen Ursa thankfully blessed Anastasia's mother, who at that time was expecting Anastasia. When Anastasia was born, she bore a distinctive mark, Mrs. The same constellation mark appeared under her eyes, just like the fairy queen herself. Michiko continued to explain that later, when Boris took over Tanzonga, King Capto seized another opportunity to attack Queen Ursa. This time his plan was far more evil. He decided to exploit the coming solar eclipse. Michiko elaborated that during a solar eclipse, all fairies who derive their strength from Queen Ursa become powerless. This is because Queen Ursa herself derives her strength from the stars, and the sun is considered the nearest star, rendering her powerless during an eclipse. During the solar eclipse, Ursa's wand was tragically taken away and she was imprisoned in a cage far from her kingdom. With Queen Ursa gone and powerless, all the fairies also became powerless, and it did not take long for the evil dictator King Capto to take over the kingdom. Michiko then revealed the urgent truth. Mrs. Queen Ursa was now reaching out to Anastasia for help. However, Michiko also issued a stern warning, cautioning Anna that the path to Ursa was fraught with danger and would not be easy to traverse. Undeterred, Anastasia boldly declared, "I do not like easy, master." That very night, Michiko provided Anastasia with a detailed brief on the map of Tiara Land and the specific outskirts where Ursa was being held. Anastasia expressed her gratitude, saying, "Thank you, master," and then requested his leave, asking him to look after the kingdom while she was away, promising to be back soon. As Anastasia reached Tiara Land, she observed King Capto's pawns troubling innocent beings. With a fearless resolve, she confronted them, demanding, "Hey yo, why don't I see your eyes shutting? Hey." She then warned them, stating, "If I see you or any of your king's pawns troubling these innocent beings, I swear to the sun you will never see it again. Now run and tell your king that his days are numbered." The fairies immediately recognized are exclaiming, "You Aisha, oh, I've heard about you, you are super Aisha," and noticed the familiar mark under her eyes, just like their queen's, asking if she was there to save them. Anastasia then asked for their help, requesting them to inform all the fairies. At the crack of dawn, Anastasia arrived at the outskirts of Tiara Land, where her first significant challenge awaited her. Mrs. the Boulder Giant. The giant demanded that she answer a question before he would move out of her way. Anastasia initially found this easier than she had thought, confidently agreeing to the challenge. The Boulder Giant then posed the riddle, "Mrs. The more you take, the more you leave behind. What is it?" Anastasia struggled momentarily, expressing frustration at the thought of failing a riddle after coming so far, but then she had a breakthrough, exclaiming, "I got it," and confidently stated that the answer was steps. The Boulder Giant, satisfied with her answer, moved aside, allowing her to pass. After walking for some time, Anastasia suddenly felt the earth move beneath her feet, and before she could fully comprehend what was happening, she found herself hanging in the air, suspended upside down from a rope. This was certainly not good. It was then that the distinctive mark under her eyes began to glow, and Anastasia understood that she was very close to her destination. She ran forward and finally came upon the edge of a pit, but it was no ordinary pit. It was a pit full of fire. On the other side of this fiery chasm she saw a cage, and although she couldn't quite see who was inside, she knew instinctively that it must be Queen Ursa. The pressing was that there was no bridge to cross to the other side. Suddenly Anastasia heard Queen Ursa's voice calling to her, and she realized it can't be. Anastasia can manipulate danger. Queen Ursa, expressing immense pride, exclaimed, "Anastasia, you heard my call. I am so proud of you." Ursa then urgently informed Anastasia that they did not have much time and needed to reach the kingdom as soon as possible, as the fairies must have already stupefied all the guards with potions and wine. They needed to reach Capto soon and attack him. Meanwhile, King Capto remained entirely unaware that outside his courtroom all his guards were fast asleep. He confidently declared his intention to capture Tanzonga, describing it as a beautiful kingdom that he loved turning into shambles. His subordinate briefly mentioned the vigilante who had attacked their soldiers and asked if he should be concerned. Capto, however, dismissed the concern, stating, "No way, you take care of that. I have better things to do. I want to capture." No, his subordinate affirmed that he absolutely should, though he had heard that Tanzonga's ruler was a very powerful princess. Capto then asked if it was the same Princess Anastasia who had tricked Boris, boasting that treachery was an art he had mastered since he was a world leader. At this precise moment Anastasia dramatically appeared, stating, "Ursa, Ursa, how are you here?" She then mockingly repeated Capto's words, "Say that again. Treachery is an art you have what? Who are you? Good witch Joni, what is happening?" She confidently declared, "Oh, she is the you will have it from me," challenging his notion that princesses are weak and delicate, and stating that it was time to re-evaluate such thoughts. King Capto, still overconfident, boasted that Anastasia could not harm him because he possessed Ursa's magic wand and she would never be able to find it. To his astonishment, Anastasia produced the wand, asking, "You mean this? How did you get this?" She then pointed out that all of Capto's guards were out, sagely concluding that when a ruler is corrupt it doesn't take much time for his administration to fall. With the magic wand restored, the fairies found their magic back. King Capto was then put into a cave and sent to the very same place where he had imprisoned Queen Ursa. Magic and love were restored in Tiara Land as Queen Ursa took over the throne again. The fairies cheered enthusiastically for their queen, but even more so they cheered for their savior, Princess Anastasia. Anastasia humbly responded that they did not have to thank her, stating that it was her duty and that they were connected, implying a connection by the sun. Queen Ursa then told Anastasia that she was very powerful and must learn to harness all her powers and truly know about her abilities. Anastasia, however, decided that she better go back to her people, stating that everything else could wait, and thus the happy days returned to Tiara Land and Tanzonga rejoiced as their Princess Anastasia was back that night. The sky on an extravagant show as thousands of paper lanterns were released into the sky, beautifully complemented by shooting stars in the backdrop. The story presented is a classic narrative of a destined hero's journey, replete with themes of good versus evil, the restoration of order, and the discovery of one's true potential. Princess Anastasia is clearly portrayed as a fated protagonist, marked from birth with a constellation symbol under her eyes, identical to that of Queen Ursa, which immediately establishes a deep and ancient connection to Tiara Land and its magical realm. Her recurring dreams, described as feeling very real and occurring nightly for 2 months, serve as a clear call to adventure, signaling that her destiny is unfolding and she is being summoned for a critical task. Her designation as Super Aisha by the fairies upon her arrival further solidifies her role as a prophesied savior. Anastasia's character demonstrates remarkable bravery and a determined spirit. She explicitly not like easy, underscoring her willingness to face challenges head-on. This is evident in her fearless confrontation with King Capto's pawns, where she directly threatens them and sends a defiant message to their king. Her intelligence and resourcefulness are showcased when she solves the boulder giant's riddle, initially struggling but ultimately finding the correct answer through perseverance. Furthermore, her intuitive understanding that she can manipulate danger when confronted with the fiery pit highlights her nascent magical abilities and adaptability. Her ultimate victory over King Capto is not just through physical prowess but also through cunning and wit, demonstrating her mastery of treachery to outsmart the villain. Ultimately, Anastasia's actions are driven by a deep sense of duty and connection to the people and land she saves, embodying a selfless heroism. Queen Ursa serves as the benevolent foundational power of Tiara Land, from whom all fairies derive their strength, emphasizing her crucial role in the kingdom's well-being. Her vulnerability during a solar eclipse, a natural phenomenon that temporarily severs her connection to the stars, and thus her power introduces a critical weakness that the villain ruthlessly exploits. This element highlights how even the most powerful entities can be susceptible to specific environmental or cosmic conditions. Despite her imprisonment, Ursa maintains her role as a guiding force, communicating with Anastasia from afar and providing crucial instructions for the liberation of Tiara Land. Her wisdom is further demonstrated when she advises Anastasia to learn to harness her immense power, indicating a passing of the torch and the continuation of magical guardianship. King Capto is depicted as a quintessential antagonist driven by evil and a desire for destruction. His enjoyment in turning beautiful kingdoms into shambles reveals a cruel and chaotic nature, making him a clear threat to peace and happiness. His arrogance and overconfidence luring flaws as he dismisses warnings about Anastasia and boasts about his supposed invincibility. This overconfidence ultimately leads to his downfall as he fails to secure Ursa's magic wand and is outwitted by Anastasia. The narrative explicitly links his corruption as a ruler to the inevitable collapse of his administration, suggesting that moral decay at the top infiltrates and weakens the entire system. Michiko's role in the story is that of the wise mentor, providing Anastasia with the crucial historical context, explaining her destiny and equipping her with the necessary knowledge and map for her perilous journey. He embodies the archetype of the guide who prepares the hero for their quest, offering warnings and essential information without directly participating in the physical challenges. The narrative skillfully uses symbolism to deepen its meaning. The constellation mark under Anastasia's eyes is a potent symbol of her destined role and her innate connection to the magical forces of the universe, particularly to the stars that power Queen Ursa. The solar eclipse is more than just a plot device. It symbolizes a temporary disruption of natural order and power, a moment of extreme vulnerability that the forces of evil exploit. The stars and the sun are consistently referenced as sources of power and connection, emphasizing the cosmic ties between Anastasia, Queen Ursa, and the magical realm. The various challenges Anastasia faces, the riddle of the boulder giant, the rope trap, and the fiery pit, are not merely physical obstacles but symbolic tests of her wit, resilience, and emerging powers. The story structure closely follows the archetypal hero's journey, with Anastasia receiving a clear call to adventure through her dreams and Michiko's revelation, embarking on a perilous quest, overcoming trials and ultimately restoring balance to the world before returning to her own people. The final image of thousands of paper lanterns and shooting stars filling the sky underscores the tie-on of joy, magic, and beauty, symbolizing a return to harmony and celebration after triumphing over darkness.